Hello there, and welcome back to the railway.
So as you can see, I've now put in the first track. So that's going all the way around and it's all connected up now, it's all pinned in. So as you can see as well here, it's nice to see the difference. This is where the outside loop was, and this is where it is now. So you can see how much further over it is, which is going to make it much nicer, as well as it also being curved most of the way through. This section here is straight. That's just because that's where the platform building is and where the bridge crosses over. So that bit was the only bit that needed to be straight. But as you can see, it's a much more gentle curve into the station, especially at this end compared to that. That end's a little bit sharp in this end, but it's still a lot smoother, as you can see, than what it was. So I'll get doing the next line now. So the next one I'm going to do starts off from here, and that will follow about to the same line as here, and then it will curve out like that with that one. So I'll just start getting that done and I'll show you how it's going. So I have started and finished the second line, as you can see there. So that now runs all the way along and is all joined up, pinned in just like the other one. So now all I need to do is these two tracks that will go in here, and you'll have the bridge in between. Now I need to do some quick measurements as to figure out where the footbridge would be, because that's a fixed distance between. So the footbridge goes across like that and then across like that. So I needed to make sure that the next two tracks would go in between. So what I've done is I've drawn this line on here and this line here, and that represents where those two tracks need to be in between. So as long as those tracks are in between those two lines, it's perfectly fine. And then I've drawn this line here, which then, if I put this bit of track there, that then shows where that track needs to be, and I can then use these spacers to then get the next track in as well. I'll show you how I got the measurements for that just now.
In this section of the video, I'm going to be showing you how I made this. I used this, as I will show you in a bit, I used that to then help me figure out the distance between track 2 and track 3, as I needed to make sure it was a big enough gap for the steps to be in, because there's a fixed distance between the steps. So I needed to make sure these two tracks weren't too far away or weren't too close. So the first thing I did was I measured the distance between the outside of track 1 and the outside of track 2 here. I've got the measurements just up there. So that was 4.4 centimetres. The next thing I did was I measured the inside of the steps, so from here to here, and that was 7.7 centimetres. The next measurement that I took was of the width of these steps, and this was 1.6 centimetres. To work out the distance between the outside of track 2 and the outside of here of track 3, I needed the 1.6 gap from the steps, as well as the difference between here and here. So with the 7.7 centimetres, take away 4.4 centimetres of the inside of the tracks, that gives me 3.3 centimetres. But that is the gap of this section here and this end here. So they need to halve that, which means that this gap here is 1.65 centimetres. So I've got the 1.6 centimetres of the gap of the steps. I've then got the 1.65 centimetres as this gap here, and I've got it again here. So I need to add the 1.65 twice. And that all equals 4.9 centimetres. And that is how I got the measurement for this length here. And that was quite then simple. I just used a bit of, as you see, this is a 3mm grey board, so I gave it a nice thick piece to help with its rigidity. But that I then used to then place along, so if I just do a quick, that's track 2, you can imagine. I then had this pushed flush against the tracks and moved it along, so it then followed the curve. So if I just draw this on like that, so you can imagine I would then use it like that, and it would follow around the curve, and I would then draw this line from here, kind of like that. That's not very accurate, but you get the idea of how I achieved this uniform width all the way across for the platform. So I'll get back into the main section of the video now. You'll also see from this section over here, I've now installed the crossover that I was saying about. So this is all installed now, as well as this track here. And I've installed this point here as well now, ready to have that one on the end and then have those two tracks going into the platform, which will be platform 3 and platform 4. So I'll just get progressing on that and I'll show you how it goes. But first, I just did a quick test run to make sure the tracks were working properly. So with track 1 and 2 now completed and pinned in, I just thought I would get the retaining walls back out just to see the difference between the gap between the track and the retaining wall. Now the retaining wall used to be flush with the upper level section. You can see at the back there. I'll just do a highlighted section there so you can see it. But as you can see now, with the track being slightly further away, I can pull it a bit closer in. Or I can still have it a bit further out from the tracks, but then extend the platform so the platform then comes a lot further along the retaining wall, more towards the front end of the Pendolino. So here you can see the full length of the 9-car Pendolino. With the new layout of the station area, it does mean if I want to, I can run the full 11 coach set, but for now I'm just going to keep it at 9. I just thought that this angle here gave you a very nice view of the new layout to the station, as you can see how much smoother it is. As well as having the 9-coach Pendolino in there, it shows you that it is actually quite a bit longer than the old layout. So that's now all of the tracks in, going into the main station. So you can see I've now finished off these 2 lines here, and I've also done the 2 bay platforms that go in there. As well as that, I have also got this line that goes through here with the 2 sidings at the top. These tracks will be covered kind of by the car park, so it will be then kind of disused lines up there with grown over and grassy. But I just thought it'd be a bit nice to have some different angles in the area. But yeah, so what you can also see that I've done is I've also put some paper around the edges of the track so that I can use the coaches to then do an outline as to where the platform edge needs to be, and then I'll use that to then start making the platforms. But yes, as you can see, it's a really nice smooth run into the station, and you can see as well that the width between these 2 tracks is the same as the width between these 2 tracks, which I used that piece of cardboard you can see just there. So that was very useful for getting the right measurements that I needed between. And as you can see, the platform goes all the way up to here. I think it will stop about there. This middle one goes on a little bit further, and then this one, the outside's going to be a little bit further back, more like here, I think, where it will finish. But then what I might then do is I might extend it a bit further down here, more to about that kind of area. So maybe 1 inch longer or so in that direction.
But yes, you can see it's going really well. Gives you a nice view now seeing all of these tracks in. I'll do a quick view for you in a minute with the station buildings in, just so you can see how that looks. But yeah, so all the track work is now done. I'm considering that track you see just there, the loose one, this one here, I'm considering putting that in up here, along there. So it then kind of looks like maybe this, if I just zoom out a minute, so it kind of looks like maybe this outside bay platform track might have carried on a bit further, but then they added this second one and then they put the platform across the top and cut that bit off, but then left it there to rust and grow over. So I'm just playing about with those sorts of ideas in my head as to just adding some more bits of detail really. But yeah, so now that's done, as you saw earlier, I was playing around with the retaining walls and seeing the angles that I could have that, because I can have the crossover, because this used to be flush with this edge of the wood here for where the branch line, where the branch line crossed over. As you can see, I'm able to have it a little bit closer to the tracks here, as these tracks, you can see, have moved further that way. But yeah, so that's how it's going. I'll show you now how the station looks with all the buildings with it. So here we are, you can now see all of the station buildings all in place. They're not fixed in place, they're just placed so you can get a nice idea as to see how the area is going to be looking. So as you can see, the platform area here will the back wall of the platform will follow along the edge here, so there'll be a little walkway behind the building, as you can see there, but it will carry on round here. The edge of the platform will be just a little bit further out from here, and then there'll be a ramp that goes down about here that then links the platform area, like a ramp and maybe a set of stairs or something like that. They'll then link this platform area down to the car park area that will be covering up these tracks, kind of like hard standing. So it's like the tracks will be then like going through the middle of the car park. But yeah, so that gives you a nice view of how it's all gone. So I'll just show you how I used this to get the spacing. So what I did, as you can see, is I pushed it up against the outside rail here, and then just used a pen or a pencil on this corner. So I used the same corner each time. And what I then did was just sliding it along, just like that. And it then, as you can see, that's then how this line was made. But you can see how simple it is then to keep the same width between. But that's what I did for the middle gap, and that's what I then did for that gap to make sure that it was a consistent gap in between, which was really nice to make sure as well afterwards that it's all consistent. As you can see, that most points along you can see that's where the gap starts being the same there, so it starts narrowing as it goes through, and then the same here. I think it's, yeah, about there, that's where it starts off, and then it changes slightly and gets a bit narrower as it goes that way. But yeah, so I'll do a quick few trains running through this station now, and that'll be all for today's video. So thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have enjoyed the video, please do consider giving it a like, and indeed subscribing to the channel. It's free. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.